So, good afternoon, or good morning, or good evening, wherever you may be in the world. My name is Brian Cahill, and I'm the Program Manager of the Train@Ed Postdoctoral Fellowship Program. Today we will have a virtual open day, which is basically a webinar which explains some of the details of the fellowship program, and in particular how to apply for it and how to write the proposal that has a deadline at the end of the month. There will be some pre-recorded content and a live webinar, which is basically a PowerPoint presentation about the proposal writing. The webinar will be recorded and posted on our YouTube channel. I will send the slides and also a link to the YouTube postings to everybody who signed up for the virtual open day afterwards, once I've posted the webinar. You may use the questions facility on your dashboard as part of this Zoom webinar to submit questions. And the webinar will take around 1 hour, so from now till 3 p.m. British time. And if you have any questions after the webinar, please contact me at train.ed@ed.ac.uk, which is the project email address. Very important to note is that the call deadline is 31st of October at 5 p.m. British time. So that's a hard deadline. So welcome back. I hope you enjoyed the videos. I will move on with the second part of this webinar today, and this is mainly focused on explaining what the Train@Ed program is about and how to submit a proposal and all of the other documents that need to be submitted with the application. The Train@Ed project is a Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions project that is co-funded by the European Union's Horizon 2020 program. It's a research fellowship program for postdoctoral or experienced researchers. That means you must have a PhD or at least 4 years full-time research experience. The Train@Ed project will recruit 25 fellows from around the world, and in this final call we have at least 11 fellowships open. We may have 1 or 2 more depending on recruitment from the previous round. Each fellow will take part in a dedicated skills development program, and that's a very huge part of our vision for Train@Ed. And we will work together with the fellow to help you to establish a sustainable career in research, whether that be in industry or in academia. The program has received funding from the European Union's Horizon 2020 Research and Innovation Program under the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Grant Agreement number 801215. That the Train@Ed fellowships have a focus on collaborative research, and in particular with industry, creative arts, or third sector organizations, or even the public sector. That throughout many of our literature, we talk about industry partners, but we mean industry in a we mean not just industry, but also any non-academic partner. The fellowships will normally be 3 years long. This means that you get the chance to do research and then also to deliver impact from that research. So very often postdoc fellowships are 2 years long, and that is often enough time to do a lot of hard work, but very often that the extra year is required to write the papers with impact and to deliver impact to industry partners or to public sector partners or to policymakers. That throughout the Train@Ed program, we will support you with training, mentoring, and career development. And we will have a cohort experience, which means that we have these 25 researchers throughout the university and working with many different industry partners, but having a shared experience of through the training, and also through sharing their experience of their own career development through this fellowship. This cohort training concept is at the heart of skills development of the Train at Ed Fellows, and will support you to develop into an effective and professional researcher who can take leadership and who has the skills to be successful in the longer term. We have 6 teams that have been defined. Data science and innovation is a particularly important team that often cuts across all of the other teams. Life and medical science, energy and marine energy, financial and business services, creative industries, and food and beverages. And these teams were not chosen by accident. These are the main sectors of the Scottish economy that will provide growth in the next 10 or 20 years. So these are not really academic teams. These are teams that are very much focused on industrial development in Scotland, economic development. Leading on from that we have a very, very close partnership with the Data-Driven Innovation Program of the university. Through this program, the DDI program as we call it, the university is partnering with the City of Edinburgh and many of the councils in Southeast Scotland. And this is a program that is very focused on how data-driven innovation will revolutionize the Scottish economy in the next 10, 20 years. And we are looking at themes of improving the digital skills of the workforce and using the world-leading expertise in the university in the field of research and data analytics to improve products and services in the world outside the university in the city region, so that Edinburgh becomes the data capital of Europe. This is a huge program within the university and is a very, very exciting time to be working at the University of Edinburgh. We would like to see a data-driven aspect to any research fellowship, and innovation through data will be a very, very large part of the training opportunities offered. So we will be dealing with technologies such as artificial intelligence, robotics, and also looking at how development of skills in the data-driven area will make our fellows more successful in their future careers, because these are the highly skilled workers that are needed for and entrepreneurs that are needed for future development. The Train at Ed program is a Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions program. It's co-funded by Horizon 2020. And the Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions promote the so-called III mobility. That's international mobility, which means that many of you, or almost all of you, are currently based outside Scotland. Intersectoral mobility, which means it promotes cooperation between the university and external partners in industry or the third sector. So this means that we have innovation is built into the Horizon 2020, but also into this project very, very strongly. And we also promote interdisciplinary mobility, because very often when you have to solve complex real-world research problems, that you need to involve many different disciplines to achieve a solution. So we want the sort of researchers who can cooperate across disciplinary boundaries. That's the impact of Train at Ed will firstly be through the high quality researchers that we hire, whose talents in research and innovation and the development of their skills through training, and will improve the employability prospects of the researchers, either within industry or academia, and who can contribute at a regional, national, or international level in the field of research and innovation. That this program will contribute to the increased international, interdisciplinary, intersectoral mobility of researchers in Europe and indeed worldwide, who will demonstrate their commitment to Scotland and to internationalization in Scotland in our university. And this project will strengthen the European research area through active involvement of industry partners, and will contribute to Europe's and Scotland's competitiveness and growth. The benefits of the Train at Ed program, so this is what we have to offer to you, that the fellow will be hired at grade 7 level. That's between 33,000 and 40,000 pounds per year. There is a budget for attending conferences of £2,500 per year, and a budget for other research costs of £6,000 per year. That the fellows will have a role in managing the use of these of this budget for conferences and research costs, and for planning their project from the beginning. So I think this is part of the research fellowship. That the fellows will be hired on a work contract, which means that you will be included in the university pension scheme and the national pension scheme, and other benefits of employment at the university. We have made relocation support available to Train at Ed fellows at the level of relocation support that's normally available from grade 8. And this means that you will have around £5,000 available to support your relocation. And there is also immigration assistance from Edinburgh Global and from the schools should you need to apply for a visa to work in the UK. That Train at Ed has many eligibility criteria, and some of these are related to qualification for a Marie Sklodowska-Curie funding. So Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions funding requires all experienced researchers to either be in possession of a doctoral degree or have at least 4 years full-time equivalent research experience at the time of the application deadline. So that's on the 31st of October. And we also will be hiring so early career postdocs. So at application deadline, the applicants should have no more than 10 years experience since defending their PhD. Career breaks for parental leave, sickness, or army service are excluded from this 10 years. At application deadline, the applicant must not have resided or carried out their main activity in the UK for more than 12 months in the past 3 years. That's not counting holidays or short stays in the UK. If you came here to go to a conference or to visit or for a holiday, this doesn't count. But if you were working in research or studying in the UK or just living in the UK, this will count. So this is if you were resident in the UK. This is a strict eligibility criterion that's imposed by the European Union for all Marie Sklodowska-Curie actions. If you have had a 1-year career break directly before the application deadline, then there is a slightly modified mobility criterion. The applicant may have resided in the UK for up to 36 months in the 5 years immediately before the deadline. That for all of these applications, the applicant must have the support of an academic supervisor at the University of Edinburgh, and we have a form that will that the supervisor has to sign to commit to the project. That all applicants must submit an ethical issues form. This is very similar to the usual Horizon 2020 ethical issues form, but all research that is carried out within the university will have to comply with Horizon 2020 ethical principles, UK legislation, UK Research Council policy, and or the policy of the host department. So I am responsible for checking the ethical issues form and the ethics of the proposals, and going to the school ethics committee that is responsible for your project. And I will check with the school ethics committee to see whether the issues that are raised are within the scope of that school ethics committee, and I will do that liaison. But it is very highly likely, if you do have flags in the ethical issues form, that you will have to deal with submissions for compliance in the first months of your project with your school ethics committee. You should talk with your supervisor when you're discussing your project and your project proposal to see which ethical issues are relevant, and that in many of your projects you will have issues of personal data or surveys, and many of these issues can be dealt with in cooperation with school ethics committees once the project starts. But it has to be cleared beforehand through this form. Applicants must secure support from a private sector or industry partner in the form of secondments, mentorship, or other types of cooperation. You should consult with your host supervisor or with me at train.ed@ed.ac.uk for more guidance on this point. That the research proposal, well, this is a research fellowship, and research fellowship requires a research proposal. That we provide a research proposal template on the Train.ed website. You should consult with the website to see exactly what we are looking for. But in this, in the next section, I will explain from my point of view what a good proposal looks like. That the projects should describe within no more than 5 pages what your proposal is about, and also about the background of your proposal and what the impact of your proposal will be on your career and on society. So there are 2 main parts of the proposal: the excellence section, which is focused on what the research project is about, why it is important, and how it will be carried out. The impact section is focused on how the project benefits the career of you, the fellow, the capacity of the university to engage with external partners, the general public, and policymakers, and how the project will benefit society in general. The marks are divided 60 to 40 between excellence and impact, and you should aim to write about 3 pages on excellence and 2 pages on impact. That many of you will be writing a proposal for the first time, and I have many kind of comments just about how you should write the proposal. You should really make it easy on the evaluators, because evaluators are unpaid and are giving up their time, and that you want to write a good proposal. So you should make your text interesting and easy to read, if possible, and you should show that you are worth investing in, because this is a Marie Curie style proposal, that our focus is very often on the development of the researcher. And that one part of that is how you have developed your career before submitting the proposal, and how the proposal will benefit you to develop your career afterwards. You should be specific about your supervisor and your external partners. You should describe why they are most suited to hosting your project and how they will support it. Because very often the evaluators will come from all over the world and all over Europe, and they may not know your supervisor or your industry partner. So you should make it very clear to them and easy for them to understand why your supervisor and your external partners are important, what equipment is available, if it's necessary to carry out your project, and so on. You should be neat and tidy, and because if your proposal looks very good, sometimes it's easier to read. You should check your English before submitting, because even English native speakers sometimes have problems with checking their own English. They can be, and if you have somebody else who can read your proposal before it's submitted, it can be very helpful. You should show that your chosen host and mentor will provide the right environment and support for you to be successful. And sometimes that we see that applicants include very, very many references. And if you have 5 pages to write your proposal, you should focus less on the references and more on your ideas, what you will do in your project, and kind of the impact of the project on your career. It's also, you can use bold, italic, and underline to highlight the important ideas and points within your proposal. It can make it easier for the reviewer to follow. I've written probably less on excellence, on impact, which comes later. This is because the excellence section is most focused on your research ideas and your proposed research projects. In the introduction, you should very concisely tell the reader what your research idea is and why it is important. So this is more or less like an abstract, and this is the part of the proposal that I will send to reviewers, asking them to review your proposal. So it should describe very concisely and clearly what your research is about. The outline of the key research topic relates kind of how your proposed research has a relationship to the previous research in this area. And then the main research question describes the specific issue or question that your proposed research will examine. The 4th section is methodology, and you will describe the method that you will use to answer your research question. And the project plan provides a timetable for your research and how you will manage your work during the 3 years of your project. You should plot this as a Gantt chart, and you should include placements in your partner organization and all of the other details of your project planning. That's the first section on research impact is about the industry-academia partnership, which is at the heart of all Train@Ed projects. And you will tell us how the project will build relationships between the university and the project partners from industry or the third sector. You will also tell us how engaging with these industry partners will benefit your career, and show that your research idea will have value for your partners, and how. You will also show how your partners will support you and your projects, for example, through a monthly meeting or a 2-monthly meeting, or through mentorship, through placements, and so on. So you can make commitments to kind of what, well, your partner can commit to you, but you can also commit to delivering value for your partner at the same time. So this is a 2-way process. That the Train@Ed project will work with business development teams to provide opportunities for you to develop experience of working in the private sector on shorter timescales, for example, through consultancy work. The second part of our section of on impact is about transfer of knowledge. And this is also typical of Marie Curie proposals, that you will have to show how you will be integrated into your host supervisors group and what new skills and knowledge you will gain from working here in Edinburgh. You can also show what skills and knowledge that you will bring to Edinburgh. So this is a two-way transfer of knowledge, or three-way, including the industry partner. You can show how skills and knowledge will be transferred to and from the external partners. So this is so that we have kind of a lot of communication that needs to be done, and this is kind of technology transfer from the university to external partners, but also access to data sets that external partners may have. So this will depend very much on your research, but also on the relationships and building relationships with very many partners inside the university and outside the university. How will knowledge be transferred to the academic community? Through journal articles, through speaking at conferences, workshops, organizing meetings and seminars. So this is something where you can assess your research and kind of how it is best to communicate your research to a specialist audience. The third section of the impact is about training, and training is a huge part of the Train at Ed research program. It's part of the name of the program, that we want to help the fellows to develop into researchers who can take leadership afterwards. So we need to know which skills you need to develop to advance your career. These can be scientific skills, so techniques that you can have access to specific infrastructure that is present in Edinburgh that you didn't previously have access to. You can also do courses on research integrity. We will have a lot of training on data skills, open science. So it's also the other part of skills is transferable skills, and many of the skills required to make a career at the boundary between academia and industry are about entrepreneurship, leadership, negotiation, leading dialogue, communications, co-creation, writing proposals, technology transfer, intellectual property, and project management. It's about how you will change the way you work so that you can work across many different sectors. You will also have the opportunity to participate in the research and financial management of the project, and this is a project management skill that you can that will be a benefit for your future career. You can also participate in the organization of scientific training and dissemination events, so workshops and so on. And I will support you on much of this throughout the fellowship. There's also training dedicated to gender issues, and there's many that's here at the Institute for Academic Development where I work. There is a very, very large number of training courses that are available to all staff members of the University of Edinburgh. Public engagement is a very, very large part of Marie Sklodowska-Curie Actions projects, and public engagement is how you will communicate your work to a more general audience outside of academia, and that we have target audiences, particularly the public in Edinburgh and South East Scotland, and there are many opportunities to present your work to the general public here in Edinburgh. For example, Edinburgh Science Festival, or or even the Fringe Festival in Edinburgh, where the university has the Cabaret of Dangerous Ideas, which is where many academics present their work in a 1-hour comedy show. And this is very, very popular within the university and also with the general public. You can also present your work to an international audience through blogging and social media. You can say how you will engage with external stakeholders, for example, policymakers who may be interested in how the implications of your research for policy in Scotland or in Europe or internationally, and how you engage with the general public and industry and third sector partners. You should consult public engagement activities supported by the Institute for Academic Development, and I include a link. I will send all of you the slides of this webinar after it ends. And the last section is about career impact, and that's all about your career and what your vision for planning your career is and how this fellowship will benefit you. And this is part of this is all about your own career development. And sometimes, it's difficult to discuss yourself, but I think this is a very, very important part of the proposal, is kind of how you can show that it is worth investing in you to have a 3-year fellowship working at the University of Edinburgh, and how this, how your previous background will feed into this research project, and what you will learn through working here at Edinburgh and with your industry partners, and how this will lead you to progress towards professional maturity and independence. It's about how you will develop leadership skills to lead research partnerships, whether that's in industry or in academia. The supervisor that you it's necessary to have the commitment from a supervisor before you submit your proposal, and this you can contact me if you need to find a potential supervisor, and if you already have one, you should work closely with the supervisor to develop your proposal, because obviously your supervisor may know more about potential industry partners here in Scotland, and also opportunities in Edinburgh that to present your work that you may not know about. So developing a relationship with your supervisor is very, very important. That all projects will be subject to ethical scrutiny, and all applicants must submit an ethical issues form with their application. Horizon 2020 has very specific considerations regarding ethics, and this will be these will be screened before we offer contracts. You should download and complete the ethical issues form and include this with your application. If you check on the website, there's a guidance file for filling out the ethical issues form, and if you have any questions, please contact me at train.ed@ed.ac.uk. And even if there are no ethical issues due to personal data or other issues, we are working with the Research Data Service to help our fellows implement data management plans, and we will provide training on data ethics and data management. And we have organized a cooperation with CERN to provide access to cloud services if you so wish. And this has certain impacts for data transfer across borders, which requires some ethical consideration. We have that you need to include curriculum vitae with your application. Your CV should demonstrate your ability to achieve results from your past achievements. You should highlight these achievements to show your potential to achieve the goals that you've described in your proposal. You should highlight experience and transferable skills where possible. And This means showing where you worked with industry partners and policymakers beforehand, and with any non-academic partners. And you should highlight international mobility, so attendance at summer schools, research visits abroad, and so on. You should list even small grants and awards, because it shows that you have been active at applying for funding before. And you should make an attractive CV that's easy to read. The proposal submission system is hosted within our human resources website, the recruitment website, and you have to fill out the usual e-recruitment form, but also you need to upload many documents. So the research proposal, your CV, your curriculum vitae, your publication list, a supervisor statement. There's also a template for that on the website, and you should get your supervisor to sign it beforehand. A letter of support from an industry or third sector partner, and also the ethical issues form. It is best to submit these documents as PDF files, because this, in our experience, that we have with other formats, we have had some problems. So if you want to be sure that it gets uploaded correctly, please convert the document to a PDF. The evaluation process is described in the graphic on the right-hand side of the screen. First, we have the application submission deadline, which is the 31st of October. And then in the weeks after the deadline, I will check the eligibility. And in the 6 weeks after the deadline, I will I will send out the proposals for review by 3 experts each. So this will probably be up until mid-December. And at that time, we will have a meeting of the team leads who will decide which fellows will be advised for interview. We will also have an industry engagement panel, which will check the viability of the proposed industry partnerships. So both the team leads panel meeting and the industry engagement panel meeting will take place in mid-December, and recommend interviews to take place probably in the first 2 weeks of January. And then we will have kind of final selection and notification up until the end of January, probably. So I think if we have the deadline at the end of October, the 3 months after deadline is the end of January. So at that stage, we will need to proceed with negotiations with the schools that will host your fellowships. So we plan to have all of the hiring finished by the 1st of June 2020. Many academics at the university are looking for applicants interested in working on their particular research topics. The link below is a link to project descriptions. If you or anyone you know is interested in applying for this fellowship, please click on this link and see which projects have been listed. Maybe some of these projects are no longer available, but since we only have 3 weeks to go, I think now would be a good time to help us out by promoting these opportunities to other people that you may know from your research careers. So with that, I will conclude the webinar part of this webinar. This presentation, and I will answer your questions should you have any. If you have questions, please put your hand up and enter them in the chat. And if you have other questions that you want to send me later, you can send to me at train.ed@ed.ac.uk. I see that Franja has asked a question about the evaluation process. If we bring additional industry partners into the project after the submission deadline, will the industry engagement panel look at these as well? Yes, that's the industry that the letter of support from industry partners is part of the eligibility, but it's not the strictest part. It's I think that working with business development teams to make these projects, to find industry partners for these projects is the most flexible part, and we will probably find industry partners even after the projects start. So I think this is something that will be a part of the intersectoral career development of the fellows. Lisa Jepson asked about the anticipated start date for successful applicants. This is a good question. That we have 3-year fellowships on a 5-year project, and the 5-year project, the whole of Train of Ed, finishes on the 31st of May 2023. So that means to have a 3-year contract on the project, we will have to start by the 1st of June 2020. We may have some projects that start after that date, but we would prefer that everybody starts before the 1st of June, but we understand that it may not be possible in all cases, but this is our target. If any of you have more questions, please enter them now. And if that is not the case, you can get in contact with me by, I will send you all an email with the slides and with a link to the YouTube channel. And you can reply to me by telephone or by Skype or by email over the next weeks before the proposals are submitted. And I will be ready to support you in your applications. Okay, so if there are no more questions, I will finish up the webinar and wish you all a good day. Okay, thanks very much.